Okay, in this video, we're going to learn how to form major chords. Now, if you already have your scales memorized, or you have you have those down pretty good, now this ought to be pretty easy because, especially if you remember that exercise you did at the beginning, you'll notice after you go through the chords that all those were that we did. All those were was every chord that is in that C scale. So after we learn how to form those chords, and it's basically, I believe in knowing why that they do, how they're formed and why they're formed that way. Then you kind of understand, and you can kind of, you can be more creative if you know the theory behind things instead of just knowing that this is an F chord. You'll know why that's an F chord. Okay, so basically, if you want to form any major chord, what you're going to do is you're going to take any note. Let's take C because it's most common, or it's easiest. We have a C here. Now if we're going to go off the C scale, which you should have memorized, then we're going to take a C. Now we're going to go up a whole step and then another whole step. So that's C and two whole steps. We're going to have E. Okay, so C and E. And then from there we're going to go a half step and then a whole step to G. Okay? So that's basically how you form any major chord. You go whole step, half step, whole step. Okay? And that's how you form a basic major chord. Okay, let's take another note and try to form the same chord. Okay, let's take D. We're going to form a major chord off of D. Okay? We're going to go whole step, and that's the note we're going to hit too. G flat. Half step, whole step. That's a D major chord. Okay? Now, let's do something interesting like a D flat major. Okay? D flat, whole step. From here, so we have D flat and F, whole step, or half step, and then whole step. D, F, and A flat. Okay? So that's basically how you form any major chord. If you need to go off of every note and learn the major chords off of every note and how to form it, and you'll get used to it. C is pretty easy because it's just these three notes right. C, E, and G. F is easy because it's all white notes too. F, A, and C. See, we go whole step, half step. Or off the F scale, it would be like this. So it would be whole step, half step, whole step. Okay? Because if you're forming a major chord, you're going to be kind of relating to the scale of that chord. Okay? So that's how that is. That's an F major chord. Okay? Now that if you need to go and memorize every chord off of every note, how to form the major chord. And it's not that, and you'll get your fingers will start getting used to hitting, hitting a major chord anyway, the more you practice it. But you should know how and why it's formed that way, so you can go off of any note and learn how to form it. B's a little bit different, it's formed like that. See, whole step, half step, whole step. See, off a B scale. So B scale, whole step, half step. So whole step, half step, whole step. Okay? So now that you take, let's just take this for instance. If we take any major chord, after you learn the major chords, now if the C's on the bottom like that, that's what's called root position. Okay? Root position is where the main note is on the bottom in your right hand. Root position right there. Now if we take these notes, it's called inverting it, where we kind of move up from, let's go E, G, and C this time. That's the same C major chord, but it's in the first inversion. Okay? Now if we take that same chord and flip it again, let's take G, C, and E. That's the third inversion. So first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. Now after you learn all the major chords, then start getting used to putting your chords in different inversions, because you're definitely going to be using your chords in many different inversions, all three. Okay? Now, basically, just to keep it simple right now, let's just kind of keep ourselves in the C, in the C scale. That's what we'll be learning all of our chords off of. You need to learn all your major chords. But when we start playing actual songs, we're going to be using the C scale. So, I'll just tell you right now, the three major chords that you're going to be playing in the C scale is going to be your C major, and I'll tell you why in a little bit later. It's going to be your C major, your F major, and your G major. So, if anything, once you get into inversions, get those three major chords, get all the inversions down pat with those three chords. And after you get the inversions down and the major chords down with one note, well then your fingers and your hands will start getting used to hitting the keys in those certain spaces, and you can start transferring to other notes a lot easier after you do that.